Within brand strategy, I can break that down into 7 key areas. Okay, so it's personality, image, vision, goals, culture, and message.
Hey, this is Mark Asquith, CEO and co-founder at Rebel Base Media, the UK podcasting experts. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, it's time that I started my own podcast, because as we know, podcasting is a wonderful way to build audience engagement, a wonderful way to interact and connect with your audience, and it's a wonderful way to build your business. Well, you can get started with your own podcast today for just £1 by checking out Captivate.fm, the world's only growth-oriented podcast hosting company, analytics platform, and distribution centre. Go and start podcasting today for just £1 at Captivate.fm.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Marketed Not Live, the podcast for marketers who are looking at their own community to find out what's working now and, importantly, what's around the corner. Now, as you know, in every episode we're going to bring you a guest to talk about a specific marketing topic that's going to help you broaden your horizons. So, you know, if you're into that social media thing, or maybe SEO, branding, that's topical today, you can learn all about the other things that are sort of around the periphery of that and that maybe you're not quite so expert in but would support what you do. Now, we have some of the speakers from last year's event, and we've got some of this year's speakers too for Marketed Live, which takes place, of course, on Monday the 30th of September 2019 at the magnificent Nottingham Contemporary. And you know what? It would be so good if we had you there too. So make sure you check out marketed.live online and get your hands on one of the limited number of tickets left. Today I have Jonny Prest, the creative director of Seed, a creative agency best known for their graphics, illustration and animation. But it's also known as Brandmaster Flash, particularly online, so go and have a look there. He's a specialist in brand strategy, art direction and marketing. Jonny, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm glad we've got you on. We're going to have an interesting chat today about your specialist subject.
Yeah, I hope so.
That sounded a bit like you're a mastermind, you're not?
No, I'm getting there, but not there yet.
So let's ask you to expand a little bit on that very brief bio that I gave. In your own words, what is it that you do? What's your area of expertise?
Well, I'm the creative director at Seed, so we're a full service agency. I suppose if you're going to think about creative direction, I manage the whole creative projects. So from right at the beginning, from getting the brief to organising the team, delivering the project, and then ongoing relationships with my clients. I suppose the beginning part is where I feel the most comfortable, and that's the organising and the art direction of a brief. Over my many years of working in the industry, I've kind of built up quite a big network of illustrators and artists and designers. I think that's my kind of skill there is putting together the A-team. It's what I enjoy doing. But looking at brand strategy, so it really is business development. It's foundational work, and it's working with organisations to understand how they look, how they talk, and how they act. And I feel that's my key strength.
I think we're going to sort of dive into some of this as we go along. Why did you decide to set up Seed? What was the motivation behind that?
Well, Seed started in 2010, and it came about with 3 businesses came together. So there was a graphic design company, a video production company, and a publishing company. We produced a magazine called From Dusk to Dawn, and it all started getting a bit complicated. There were 3 businesses working together. But because of the change in the markets and things that were happening, the agency sort of was spawned from those 3 businesses, and they kind of all got sold, and Seed, pardon the pun, was then grown from there. And that was in 2010.
So you've been around quite a while then.
We've been around the block a little bit,
which is great, because it's always nice to have stories of success, and I guess people who listen to this podcast are typically, well, hopefully they're into marketing, otherwise they're not really listening to the right podcast. But one of the challenges with a lot of people working in our industry is sticking around, starting a business and actually surviving, but then making it into the thing that they want it to be around. So you've had a few changes and moved some things around. What sort of issues have caused that? What's caused you to adapt?
I think we have grown with the times. We've organically grown and changed with change of markets, with needs and wants of organisations, and with recessions as well. So, the magazine started in 2007, and that was just right, at the beginning of, at that point, the crash. And we had to change. We had to think on our feet. And also marketing's changing, especially with the rise of digital, what people want in their marketing mix now in terms of video, in terms of social media, the constant change with websites. We've had to organically change with what people want and need. So I think we're quite good at that. And I think that we're going to continue to do that. And I think, the reason why we say we're a full service creative agency, in other words, that basically means that whatever you need to do or whatever your market is, we will change and adapt depending on what you need. And that just continues day by day, really. We're constantly evolving. And I think brand strategy has come off that, what brands need to do as brands, how do they connect with their audiences? That's what we need to understand before we even put pen to paper, before we design anything, before we make anything. It's really about understanding their audience and choosing the right products and services for them.
You mentioned things like change, and I sort of have a bit of a thing really about wanting, and this is partly what MarketEd Live is about, wanting people to understand that things do change and that things can change, like that without any warning, and that people need to adapt to that so that they can bring the best service possible to either their clients or their business that they're working for. Because things like, for example, social media, right? You mentioned there about it, things have gone very digital now. Social media is not going to be around forever. There'll be something else. So how have you identified those changes that have allowed you then to bring that to your business and also your clients as well?
Well, firstly, you said teaching our clients that things are changing. That's a difficult thing. I had a meeting this morning with a client and was telling that person that their marketing is going to change and their social media is going to change, and they don't want to hear that. The fact that there's constant changes in the industry. And I suppose with our clients, it's about education. It's about educating them why things change, why they have to keep evolving. And really why they like working with Seed is we manage that change for them. We manage their websites, we manage their products and services or their marketing products. And I think what it comes down to, though, is that the fundamentals of marketing will stay the same. I think understanding your value or your customer's value, why do their customers want to buy off them? And that really now is starting to look, and we're going to talk about this more, is about brand marketing. There's so many businesses out there. There's so much competition. Businesses are just growing and growing. And now I think people or audience or customers are looking for businesses that they feel connected to. They feel that because there's so much competition out there, they have to feel that there's something out there for them, and they mirror the same values and they mirror the same principles of that organisation. And I think we lead our clients along that journey. And I'm always going to point back to brand strategy, but that's where it comes back to, is understanding the needs and wants of your customers.
You started to say the word audience and then you stopped yourself and changed it to customers.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Because I think it starts with an audience and then they turn into customers. So in terms of in marketing, I think it's about finding an audience, attracting that audience, and then turning them into customers. So we'll normally start with audience there and then lead them along the way to hopefully they turn into a customer. And I think Tim mentioned the other day, I think Tim might have been on the show, a customer is someone who's bought off you more than once. And that's what we're trying to do in marketing, is get them to keep coming back and buying off you again, which is the difficult bit.
It's such an important journey that people go on. And the reason that I picked up on that is that I've very much started to notice lately. I think basically this show's just a for me to air my grievances about the marketing industry maybe, but I've noticed people talk in jargon a lot, as probably always been the case, but this phrase, the audience. For me, an audience is people that sit there passively almost and watch. You know, a comedian doesn't want interaction from the audience really. You know, they'll try and put a heckler down. You know, the cast of a play doesn't want the audience to be involved, and yet as businesses we actually do want customers and we want them to be involved with our business. So I think it's a really interesting choice of word to like say to use audience or to use customer, and I just found it quite interesting the way that you did stop yourself from saying it and then went to customer, which is that I agree with what you're saying there. So how does branding affect that then? So you talking about values a lot, so how does branding and that sort of brand marketing affect whether we turn someone from an audience member into a customer?
Well, when you mention audience, I think the reason why we call them audiences by watching is because people are watching now with digital on their phones, on social media, on websites. I think people are looking more now. Like if you were to go back 15, 20 years before digital, they weren't watching like they do now. I think that's why they're turning into audiences, because of this scrolling, you know, watching videos. I think that's why that terminology's probably changed now. In terms of branding's a bit of a funny one, because obviously I come from a graphic design background, so branding's really important. But I think branding's becoming less important now. And if we talk about brand strategy, it might be worth me explaining what brand strategy is, because you know, a lot of people don't know what it means. So I look at brand strategy as business development. Now, the term business development's been coined a little bit by the Americans as sales. I don't think it's sales. I think business development, you can break it down to two key areas. The first area is business planning, and that is the what and the how. That's the business plan. Brand strategy clicks onto that, and that is the who and the why. And those four things are business development for me. And then within brand strategy, I can break that down into 7 key areas. Okay, so it's personality, image, vision, goals, culture, and message. I think that's 7. I hope it is.
Yeah.
And so in you know, out of the 7 key areas of brand strategy, one of them is image. And image is your brand, is your branding, it's your brand image, it's your brand style. And it is important, and I think obviously the logo that you create is the single most important graphic you'll ever make. You know, all your visual touch points are extremely important, but I don't. They are one part of the whole marketing mix or the whole brand mix. And obviously, a bad logo is terrible, and a bad website is also terrible. But I think all the other elements that make up brand are equally as important. So, you know, when we're talking about branding, I think, you know, if we went back, say, 5-6 years ago, in a brand style guide, you'd have voice. And then from voice, that's kind of grown now into message, culture. And, it's kind of turned into these other areas. But I think a really good brand strategy should cover those whole 7 areas. I think I answered your question there. Kind of did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
right,
you did.
Okay.
So let's use some practical examples then. So imagine that, you know, we're a small business and we haven't got, you know, millions of pounds to spend on big exercises to understand our brand values. What are the sorts of things that a small business needs to think about? And if you can share, you know, if there's any particular stages that they should do that in before they maybe reach out to an agency to design the logo or whatever. Okay,
well, it goes back to marketing principles. So the first one is your value proposition. So, you know, why does your customer or audience, we'll call them audience for the beginning, because they're not the customer straight away. So why does your audience, why do they want to buy off you? What's different about what you do? What's the value in your product or service, and what's unique about what you do? So, you know, we look at unique selling point, and a unique selling point isn't that you're faster, you're cheaper, you're better. I think you need to be totally unique now to compete against your competitors. So that's proposition is the main thing. Another one that we talk about quite a lot in brand strategy is culture. So what makes you different within your business, the way that you treat your staff, their experience with working at you, and also your customers' experience. So you'll hear a lot about culture, and I think this is quite American. You see companies like Facebook and Google, the things that they offer their staff, the treats, the little, the just improving the overall working experience. That's really, really important. And I think it was Richard Branson that said, if you treat your customers well or treat your staff well, they will treat your customers well. So that's I think I've totally slaughtered that quote there, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think what was the question again? Sorry. I'm going to keep doing this.
No, that's all right. That's all right. We were talking about, smaller businesses and what the sorts of things that they need to think about before maybe reaching out. I mean, I suppose in a way I'm kind of thinking of, someone's thinking of leaving their current role. Maybe they're an employee and they want to set up their own business and they know what they want to do. And in their mind, they've drawn out their logo because that's what they think is important. What are the things that they should be doing? I
think that almost is one of the last bits they do before they launch.
But a lot of people do it first.
They do it first, yeah. Now, I think the first thing you should do is write a business plan. And there's loads of people out there who will say, no, you don't need to write a business plan. I've never written a business plan. But, and the reason why a lot of people don't, because it's all in their head. It's really, I know what I do, what I produce, what I'm selling and who I'm selling it for and why they should buy off me. And I think that needs to go down on paper. I don't think it needs to be a big war and peace. I think it just needs to be very, very clear about what it is that you're going to do. And that's what I would do first. And off the back of that, so that's the what and the how. And then once you've done that, you then produce your brand strategy, which is the why and who. I think in your business plan, you'd probably put who your customer is. But I think in a brand strategy, you really break down the needs and wants of that customer. And a lot of this can sound quite fluffy. And I think a lot of people miss this bit out. But actually, when you start to do these exercises and start getting pen to paper and writing these things down, the exercise is so important then to figure out what is the business, what is it the business is going to be and where's it going to go. And then from there, once that's all down, I think then you produce your brand image. Because if you do the brand image first, I think you're not creating it you're creating it for yourself almost. And this is the logo I like and these are the colours that I like. But you could be getting it totally wrong. And I think the branding is one of the last things you do before you launch. And also, you're never going to get it right first time. I think you start first and you get perfect later on. So I think the key is to work with someone who knows what they're doing, work with a good designer. We do see a lot of times where people just get their mate to do it, or I don't want to belittle websites such as things like Fiverr and those kind of websites, but I think those websites are really good if you just want an illustration or some graphics. But in terms of your brand identity, it needs to be really, really thought out and it needs to be really, really considered. But again, sorry to repeat myself, all of that gets done after you've done those first two exercises.
Because it's the thing that I suppose you're going to be putting in front of potential customers, certainly in that audience, or if they take business from you, then that's the thing that not you're going to be judged on, but like I say, it's about getting it right. Is there a little bit of accountability in the idea of putting it on paper? The fact that it's moved from your head onto a piece of paper makes it more real?
It 100% makes it more real. You can actually start to see the business. And also what you want to do at that point is you want to show it to people. You want to find critical friends that you can show them your business plan. And with a business plan, the key with any plan is that anyone can understand it. It doesn't need to be war and peace. It doesn't need to be, you're not trying to bamboozle people with words. You're just saying very, very clearly what the business is. And you should be able to do it. I know some people say that you should be able to put your business plan on the back of a fag packet. Now, not many people smoke now, and a fag packet's really small, and obviously it's got those pictures all over it. But you should be able to do
branding
that.
There, is there really? Not these days.
Not anymore, no. They're just getting worse and worse, those pictures as well. But you should. What that really means is that you should be able to just write it down on one page of A4. Can we promote books on here?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, there's if you're into marketing, I'm sure you've probably heard of the author Seth Godin. He released a book. I don't know if it was this year or last year, called "This Is Marketing."
Totally got it.
You totally got it. Great. Well, there's a section in there. He talks about business planning, and he actually gives his opinion on how to write a business plan. And I think he breaks it down into about 4 sections. It's who do I want to serve? I think it's like, why should they buy off me? Who's doing what I do? How do they do it badly? And then your numbers. And that's really what a business plan is. He breaks it down into, I think it's 4 really, really key sections. So yeah, if you are looking at business planning, I would buy that book and before you do anything.
By the way, this is just going to be an overt plug. If you haven't downloaded the Marketed Live 2019 marketing report, then you should, because Seth Godin gave us a contribution.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. There's a whole story behind it, which I'm sure I've said on previous episodes. In fact, probably every episode that I've recorded so far, because I'm still super impressed by the fact that I emailed him and he responded to me.
Yeah, he really knows his onions as well. Like, I think a lot of marketers will see him as the guru, he's the go-to guy. But, some people regard him as the best marketer in the world. And when you read his book, or even, I think better, listen to his audio book, because he narrates it and he's got a great voice.
Has got a great voice.
A lot better than mine. But he's so good at articulating marketing and breaking it down into what the core principles of marketing are. And I think if you are going to start a business, I would say listen or read or listen to that book. It's game changer. It really is. And so yeah, in terms of business planning, he really breaks it down well. But yeah, for any business any person that's looking to start a business plan, and also a business plan should be constantly evolving. I'm rewriting Seed's business plan as we speak. We've had some big changes over the last 18 months, and it made sense to go back to the business plan, go back to route 1 and figure out, who are we? What are we doing? Who are we looking to serve? And what makes us different from everyone else? And creative agencies, you have to separate yourself from your competitors, because it is a competitive market. And when you're going to pitch and present to potential customers, they're going to look at you and think, what makes you different from that last company or agency that's come in and pitched? So for me, rewriting our business plan was fundamental to separating ourselves out from everyone else.
Cool. Okay, well, look, we're going to put the link to the book actually in the show notes, just so that people can go and actually look at it. Because I like a book recommendation, so thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, let's think a bit about larger organisations, because people often, talk about big brands, and that term brand is basically just means company half the time. But are there any large organisations that have a really solid brand, a brand that you admire, and why?
The brands that I look at and that inspire me are new brands. I tend to find brands that work the industries that are really pushing the envelope. Fashion's always great. If you're going to look at fashion brands, their industry is probably the most competitive industry there is. So they constantly have to be reinventing themselves, pushing themselves, and developing their brand. Smaller retail companies that are selling online, that are disrupting their markets and are trying to break through and trying to launch themselves, they're always really good. I'm trying to think at the moment who... There's one company that I've been looking at recently that I love. They're called Middle Child.
Okay.
And they're a diner in America.
Right.
Okay. So if you just search Middle Child Diner, I just love the way that they market themselves. I love their social media. I love all their imagery. That's the one there.
We're showing it on the. We've got a little laptop here.
So if you kind of, well, obviously you can't see this, but as you scroll down their site, the images look really good. They're really good at sort of championing the right content, and it's all about hierarchy. It's all about what does your audience need to see. There's like little GIFs on there, little videos, but I really like them. One of our interns actually pointed these guys out, and they're really good, really lovely brand image as well. I'm trying to think of else who I look at. obviously, I'm always looking at the bigger brands like Apple, Nike, or Nike. I think that I think a lot of people will talk about those brands, but they're the ones that have really carved their market share and really good at constantly evolving, constantly pushing themselves, using new technology, and not just using technology and using online platforms that are available, but actually creating their own space is really important. Producing their own apps, using podcasts, doing affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, but actually doing it properly and not just jumping on the bandwagon. So the key is, don't jump on the bandwagon. I think it's, build your own wagon and do something different.
So the example from Middle Child, I mean, I'd never heard of them before, and maybe other people have or haven't, but it seems just from a very tertiary glance at their website that they're just throwing it out. Not throwing it out there, that's not the right thing to say, but it's there. It doesn't replicate a typical restaurant or anything like that. They're just doing their thing. And if you think about things like Apple, they are leading from the front in terms of that. If you think about like the cleanliness of it all, and whether it's sterile or not, it's less sterile these days, I suppose, I think, from what I see. But what you're saying is that it's comes down to those values again, sort of what are those values, being true to those values.
Yep.
And having the confidence to go with it.
Yep. And I think there's a sweet spot with these things. I think there's definitely a tick box, or a list of tick boxes that if you tick these things and make your way through a brand and a brand image, you will find your sweet spot. So if we were to look at Middle Child, if we look at personality, there's personality all over that website. It's fun, it's playful, there's a naivety there, and they found their personality. The image, they only use two colours. There's the green and the white, and there's very much about the isometric shapes that make up those smiley faces, and the images are all really crisp. The food looks good. It's making me hungry. I don't know if the audience will know, but it's tea time, so I'm getting hungry there. But the visuals are great. In terms of their vision and goals, you don't always see that. That's normally, I think, behind the brand, but they will have a vision and they will have goals. Obviously, you probably won't get that from their website. What's the other thing that I'm thinking of? So the culture. So the culture will be what it's like to work there. Again, you wouldn't know until you work there. And then the whole thing is the experience. So I haven't eaten there. It's only in America, but it looks pretty nice. And well, maybe we could do that then. Maybe we could take some MarketEd Live budget and fly out there and have a sub.
Maybe we could
sub sandwich.
Well, it looks like it's in Philadelphia, so I mean that's East Coast enough. It's sure it's cheaper.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
A little research trip. Okay.
But you can see there's some things obviously you can't experience or we're going to be aware of because I haven't eaten there, I haven't worked there, but from the things that we can see, they've ticked those boxes.
Right.
There's something that we've been doing a lot at the moment in research into websites, and I wrote an article recently about how to create the perfect website. Now, I don't think there is such thing as a perfect website, because the moment you've created something that's pretty good, things change and you've got to constantly evolve. But one of the things that we look at is the design, so the user interface. So if we look at their website now, it's really clean, lots of negative space. The images are really, really considered, and they're not. They look like they could be done with a mobile phone, but they're just really, really good images. So you've got to make it look good. It has to be. The first bite is with the eye, pardon the pun, but it's got to look great. Then it's about the usability. Is it easy to use? And it's those little rollovers, those little functions, those little things that are really great. And at the end of the day, when people go on their website, they want to know what's on the menu, where are they? Okay, that's what they're going to be pretty much looking for, isn't it? So you've got to get the usability right and the experience. The third thing is content. So the types of content on there. So any piece of content would be the wording. It would be any kind of links they've got to social media, any videos on there, all the little animated GIFs on there. Any piece of content is really important. And the fourth thing is search. So can you find them on, if I searched in diners or places to eat in Philadelphia, was it Philadelphia? It was.
Yeah.
I'd expect them to be on page 1. If they're not on page 1, then obviously people aren't going to probably go to page 2. If I'm searching for them on social media, if I'm searching them through other platforms, you'd want them to be quite visible on page 1. So they're the 4 key areas of a brand or online brand. I believe if you get those 4 areas right, you've got a really good fighting chance to fulfill your digital goals, which will probably be to people to come and experience their food and eat their food.
Some cracking examples there. I am literally just thinking all the different websites that I know of and how things work. And I'm just looking at the Marketed Live website with our little triangles that complete the buttons. There's little things like that get people's attention. What did you call those rollovers or something?
Yeah, rollovers, those little functionality, little embellishments, those little details. And what's really good about the little details is it actually stops people in their tracks a little bit.
Okay,
and it'll make people stay on the site just that little bit longer. And we call that dwell time. So if you can get someone to search on Google, find what they're looking for, click on that website, and as they arrive on that website, there's a few little things there that make people go, oh, that's nice, or I want to click that, or let's press play on that. All you're doing there is sending signals straight back to Google and saying that thing that you searched for is actually really valuable, and that site is right. And you're just telling Google, yeah, this is a great site, and it's just going to help with your rankings. Dwell time is really, really important. So you've got to be, and I think a lot of organisations fail on this. They'll put a nice image there, or they'll put a bit of text there, but you've got to take a step back and you've got to really, really look at your site from your audience's point of view. And you've got to be thinking, is the content on this site, is the functionality, is the design right for the audience? And are they going to stick around? Because if they don't stick around for more than 20, 30 seconds, well, less than that really, then you're not fulfilling.
And that comes back to that initial piece of work, thinking about who you're talking to and what you're trying to do for them, rather than what colours you like or what designs you like. Or
exactly, it always stems back to brand strategy. It's about how you look, how you talk, and how you act, and those 7 key points of brand. If you get that right from the beginning, it is foundations. You're just going to get the foundations of everything that you do after that. It almost becomes easy, and also it becomes really, really enjoyable, and it also becomes really, really focused. A lot of marketers or businesses spend a lot of time being busy, and that's what you want to try and avoid. You just want to be really, really focused in what you do.
okay, right. So now I've got some more. Well, I'm not going to call them quickfire, because in every episode they're basically not quick answers to this. So, and we're yet to think of a title for this segment. So feel free to contribute to an idea to what the segment should be called. Okay, so I want to know who's totally killing it in marketing right now, from your perspective.
Well, the examples I use in my workshops, I still use Uber.
Because
if you were to go to the Uber website, the one thing I've noticed is they have less text on their website than I have on mine, and they're one of the biggest businesses in the world. I just think I think with their brand or brand strategy, it's about refinement. You're constantly refining and filtering. And I think that's what they've done. They're very, very clear about, this is the part of our website or our content that's for new drivers, because they obviously need a scaling business and they always need drivers. And this is all the content on our site that's more towards you downloading the app and using our services. And I just think they nail it. I just think they're really, really clear. Every word, every sentence, every picture is, and I keep using this word, is considered, which is thought about and planned. And I think Uber are just really, really good at it.
But you're thinking that's based on the feedback that they're taking from either, I don't know, analytics or interface or direct feedback?
Yeah, all of them, all of the above. It'll be really analysing how people use their website. It'll be having really good critical audiences and having critical friends that can comment and talk about what they should and shouldn't be doing. It's about really, really understanding your audience. So many businesses or individuals think they know their audience and they don't. Or they do, but they don't know it.
Because they haven't asked them.
Yeah, or they've not really thought about it. I think a lot of business owners, marketers are quite stubborn and selfish in the way that they think about audiences. They think, well, this is what they want and this is what we do. But actually, when you ask the right questions, and the main question is why, keep asking the question why, you'll tend to find that you're probably not doing it quite right. And that's why now a lot of organizations have brand managers that specifically focus on this. And really keep asking the question, why are we doing this? Why should they buy off us? Why are our customers doing it better? Or why are we doing it better than our customers? And keep asking that question, and you normally will get to the right point, which then I suppose gives you the answers to go ahead and do more of this.
Okay. Right. Do you like technology?
I do, yes.
What's the best bit of technology that you're using at the moment?
The best bit of technology, I'm going to be selfish in my answer here, but I'm going to say animation.
What are you using for that?
What am I using for it? Good old pen and paper.
Okay,
which is not technology. Okay.
Well, it is of a sort. It's still, I would sort of say it's technology. It's just not necessarily the technology that a lot of people might be using right now.
No, okay. I suppose I think technology a lot of the time in my field is a tool.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a tool, but I still think the creativity is the most important thing. The ideas, the idea development, the art direction. But in terms of how we produce and bring animation to life, we've got a few different techniques. I suppose Adobe After Effects is our main tool. It's not something I know personally. My animators, obviously, that's what they use. But I think that's obviously really, really good tool for us. But I suppose video as a whole is really, really a great tool. And I suppose the ability to be able to create video, edit video, and publish video from your mobile phone is amazing. And in terms of getting a message out there, in terms of getting it to a wide audience and reach, the fact that we can do that on our mobile phones is incredible. And it's also something that everyone can do. And you don't have to be uber confident in front of the camera. I'm not confident in the camera at all. I just keep putting stuff out there, and hopefully that I just grow in confidence whilst doing it. But I'd probably say that the latter one there. I'd say being able to record, produce, edit, and publish video from your mobile phone is the best piece of technology that I personally are using at the moment.
Okay. Podcasts. I'm assuming you listen to a lot of podcasts because you mentioned quite a few. What's your favourite?
I do love The Disruptive Entrepreneur with Rob Moore. Just because I like his attitude. I like the fact that there's no filter. I think he's completely just says how he feels, but he just has a ridiculous amount of knowledge for someone. I think he's not super young. He's 40, but he has so much knowledge about business. And if you listen to his interviews, if you listen to his caffeine casts, I think he calls them, all his videos, and obviously he turns his videos into podcasts. It's just the sheer amount of knowledge that he's got in every area of from brand to marketing to finance to sales. So if anyone out there is thinking about starting their own business, that's definitely one that you want to listen to.
Okay, cool. He has a great beard.
He's got a good beard.
He's got a really good beard.
I don't know if I like the trimming of the underbeard though. You know what I mean? When you trim, like you see Adam's apple there. Like I think a beard should just be allowed to. I think you could trim it, but it still needs to go to the right point.
It's got to merge to all parts of the body, because with some guys, there's like no delineation between face and everything else. Rug. Yeah. So
I think the face to rug ratio, I would say that you need to. This is going to be difficult for anyone to do this, and not just Rob. Would be to just to filter it out slightly as it gets to your neck,
Yeah.
and then increase the hair as it
Like
comes to your
a
chest.
gradient.
Yeah, like
A gradient. This is the best part of the podcast. We should totally do like a male grooming.
Yeah, I'm happy just to talk about rugs and not brand. You should have started with this question.
I should have. But at least we've got some content now for the beginning of the podcast, which is what normally happens.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know where we're going from here really. I want to ask you about advertising. We see ads all the time. What's a good ad that you've seen lately?
Well, I think, sorry for coughing into the mic then for your listeners. Sorry. I've been slurping as well, so I do apologise again. In terms of adverts, you've got to take risks. Actually, some of the best adverts I've seen recently are from monster.com.
The recruitment agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go to their YouTube channel, go to videos, just check out some of their videos. I just think they're brilliant. And again, it does come back to brand strategy. So they'll look at the issues and the problems and the challenges that their audience have. So let's look at their audience for Monster. It's for people that are looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
So they talk about CVs, they talk about interviews, and they'll look at all the problems that anyone goes through when applying or going through the job process. And then they turn those challenges into really, really funny, quick videos. And I just love their advertising. But I think the key is you've got to take risks. You don't want to cause any brand damage. You don't want to do anything stupid. But if you want to get noticed and you want your video to get to the most amount of people and you want to encourage likes and shares, you've got to connect with people emotionally. And I know that's really buzzwordy to say that, but if I was going to say connect emotionally, you think cry, you think laugh, you think freak out. Those are the types of things that you've got to try and do. And that always stems that back to really, really good ideas. And that's been the same since the 50s. If you watch Mad Men,
Mm-hmm.
it all stems from a really, really good idea. And advertising's no different now. So for me, it's about taking risks.
Right. Why should someone come and see us in Nottingham this September?
Well, I went to MarketEd Live last year and it was amazing.
Thanks.
That's a little plug there. I just think, getting out of the office and being around like-minded people, which doesn't happen very often. You can go to networking events, you can go out and meet people and so on, but you're not always around people like you who have the same ideas, who are the same similar personalities or similar quirks, that kind of thing. And just to get out of the office and be around people like that is worth every penny. And having good conversations. And I think it's just, once you're out of the office, making notes and listen to great guest speakers, you'll just come away with bags of ideas.
It's that inspiration, isn't it? Someone could be saying something that you've already heard before, already thinking, but the fact that they're there and you're seeing it and there's something about the energy that kind of makes you want to do it a bit more than maybe you did before.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, you'll come away with a couple of gems that you've never thought of before, but sometimes it's really reassuring to have someone tell you that what you're doing is right, and cementing the ideas and the processes and the things that you do in your marketing is also really, really valuable. But if you can just walk away, and which you will at MarketEd Live, walk away with one or two gems, that's a game changer. That's something that could change your business forever. And something that you could probably implement quite quickly. But I'm a big believer of coming out of your workspace into a nice environment with a great buffet, which always goes down well.
The food's very important at these things.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Are you a front of the queue buffet eater or the back
I'm
of the queue?
last.
Yeah,
I'm back of the queue.
It's a gamble.
It is a gamble. It is a gamble because if that one the chicken salad sandwich, or I don't know what the most popular sandwich is, but there's always one type of sandwich that's like uber popular compared to everything else.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with the being last, because I don't know if you ever watched Extras before. Have you seen the bit when she's waiting in the buffet queue because she's a support actress? You have to go last, And there's this one scene where there's this one chap, he's just palming. I call it palming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the sandwiches sort of looking in them, just seeing that. So there's a good chance that, sandwiches may have been palmed. But I don't think sandwiches are palmed at Marketed Live, though. I think a lot of people have a lot better etiquette than to do that.
I think I need to go and maybe ask the audience there. But certainly it's now on my checklist for the team to, monitor the amount of palming that's going on.
I think I've made that word up, palming.
Oh, it's better than the alternative, I think.
Yeah, fiddling.
Well, I was thinking something else. But,
Sandwich fiddling, yeah. How did we get onto buffet?
Just many reasons why to come to Marketed Live, really. We're talking about the quality of food, which I agree with you, absolutely, 100%. The best thing, the best way to assess an event is not by the content and the inspiration that you've got, but actually by the quality of the food. If there's not tea and coffee and a small Danish pastry on arrival at an event, I'm pretty upset.
I want my money back. But I think the other thing is the getting a brand new perspective.
Right. Yeah.
The key is it coming out of the office, getting a brand new perspective and a sandwich. And that is the reasons why you should go to Marketed Live.
That's what we're hoping for. And have a drink at the end of it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. People have heard what you've got to say, Jonny. What can they do to get in contact with you? How should they find you online or wherever it is that you want them to get in contact with you?
Well, if you want to come to I'll always probably guide people to our website first, and it's seedcreativity.co.uk. We've got all the social channels, which is normally at Seed Creativity, but if you just search Seed Creativity in any social channel, you'll find us. And then on my own kind of personal brand, which I'm building slowly, it's still very early days. I only launched it, a matter of months ago, which is Brand Master Flash. And if you search that in any of the social channels, you'll find me. There isn't much out there at the moment. I'm still trying to build that up. But yeah, just search in Brand Master Flash and you'll find me.
Excellent. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, that's all for this episode of Marketed Not Live. If you've enjoyed today's show, please leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice. And, help spread the word about this and about Marketed Live 2019 on the 30th of September. Look, remember, the whole purpose of the event is to bring together experts from all marketing disciplines. So, do you know what? If marketing is your thing, then we've really got to see you there. So visit marketed.live for all the info on speakers, travel options, accommodation, the parties, whatever. Read the blog post from your fellow attendees and speakers. And if you want to write a blog for us, we would be delighted to have your musings. Just send us an email, hey@marketed.live. That'd be great. Until then, we'll see you next time.